In this sewing tutorial, I will show you how to make a bias cut slip dress pattern. What does it mean? The bias cut technique. Bias means that the woven fabric is cut on an angle. Any woven fabric has a straight grain and a crosswise grain, and fibers are running at a 90 degrees angle to each other. The straight grain is parallel to selvages and the cross grain is perpendicular to selvages. The bias is running at any angle to the straight and cross grains, but the true bias refers to the 45 degrees angle to these grains. Any woven fabric has two true biases perpendicular to each other. Bias cut tops and dresses accentuate body curves and drapes beautifully with a few soft folds. Cutting on bias is especially popular for garments made from natural silk fabric. In this particular case, I am making a bias cut slip dress, and you can see the image of the ready slip dress right here. I think it's faster to make a pattern for a bias cut slip dress than to use a PDF pattern. You have to print it, to cut it, to arrange it. I spent just around 30 minutes making it, or maybe even less. The pattern of this bias cut slip dress is quite simple. The slip has only two side seams. The fewer seams you have for bias cut fabric, the easier it is to sew. This pattern is good up to US pattern size 14, but I'm not sure if this pattern will work for a full bust and sizes 16 and up. Complex patterns with darts and multiple curved lines are not good for bias cut dresses. We will need a pattern that has as few seams and details as possible. So, the first step, take your measurements. To make the pattern for the slip dress, you will need to take some body measurements: bust, waist, hips, desired length of the slip. Write the numbers on a piece of paper. Next step. Prepare materials for making the bias cut slip dress pattern. Take a piece of paper to make the pattern. What paper do people use for drafting patterns? Well, I like to buy vellum paper from Amazon, but I know some people use medical paper, which to me is not wide enough. I like to draw patterns using these pencils, Paper Mate Sharp Writer. They never break and the eraser is very good too. Doesn't leave any gray marks on my paper. I also like to use a French curve ruler for drafting patterns. With this ruler I can make smooth curved lines easily. So let me show you how to draft the bias cut slip pattern. Draw a vertical line somewhere in the middle of your paper. It will be the center front line, and mark point 1 on this line. Make a line perpendicular to that vertical line in point 1 and mark point 2. The distance between points 1 and 2 is equal to your bust measurement divided by 4. From point 1, go down on this vertical line and mark point 3. The distance between point 1 and point 3 is equal to the distance between your underarm and your waistline. Draw a perpendicular line. This is a waistline. The distance between point 1 and 3 is about 6-8 inches for all sizes. I put 8 inches for my pattern. On this line, perpendicular to the vertical line, mark point 4. The distance between 3 and 4 is equal to your waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch. From point 3, go down and mark point 5 and make a line perpendicular to the vertical line. The distance between these points is about 7-9 inches. For tall people it's 9 inches, for shorter people it's about 7 inches. For my pattern I put 8 inches. This is about the same for all sizes, 7-9 inches. So mark point 6 on this line. Distance between point 5 and point 6 is equal to your hips measurement divided by 4 plus 3/8 of an inch. From point 5 go down and put point 7. The distance between 5 and 7 is about 9/16 inches. It depends on how long you want your slip dress to be. I put 9 inches and this is the hemline. On this line mark point 8. The distance between point 7 and 8 is your hips measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch. Now connect points 8, 6, 4 and 2 and our pattern is almost ready. Now divide the distance between point 1 and 2 in half and mark point 9. From this point make a perpendicular line and mark point 10. The distance between 9 and 10 is 1.5 inch for all sizes. Draw two curved lines. For bias cut garments, we need to make a full pattern, not half front and half back. So I made the full pattern to be able to cut in a single layer of fabric. That's all for the pattern now. Let me show you now the real pattern and how I draw curved lines. I like to use a special ruler. It's called French curve ruler. Very easy to use and the lines are really smooth and nice. I fold the paper with my pattern along the center front line and cut the paper pattern. Here I have the front and back pattern for my slip dress. Seam allowances are included and they are 1/4 inch. I'm going to sew the slip dress by serger and 1/4 inch seam allowances are the best. In the next tutorials, I will show you how to cut fabric on bias and how to sew a bias cut slip dress.